We explain the rise of civilization in Mesopotamian Sumer. The rise of civilization as we defined it in the last video happened across many regions of the world. However, according to current theory and archaeological evidence, it's believed that the very first civilizations, those who developed agriculture first, were located in current-day Iraq and Syria between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. That area was ripe to be the birth of agriculture as the Tigris and Euphrates flow out of the mountains in Turkey. They overflow in spring when the snow melts, and they leave behind extremely fertile silt when they recede. A variety of crops were able to grow there, giving the region the nickname of the Fertile Crescent. The Greeks named it Mesopotamia, which means land between the rivers. The region itself was also a major crossroads for migrating tribes through Africa, Asia, and Europe, which brought a cultural diffusion of new people, ideas, and technology from everywhere. New groups arrived in the area throughout history, leading the region to experience constant change and warfare into the current day. These groups learned that the floods on the Tigris and Euphrates could be devastating, sometimes wiping out the civilizations as they were built. And without natural barriers, the region was also open to invasion. Summer droughts, hot desert winds, and famine were also a constant threat. In order to beat these odds, people clung together in city-states. Those city-state communities fought the harsh environment in order to benefit from the good soil. They built irrigation systems and dams to control the rivers. They developed complex religions and built temples and established a priestly class in order to interpret the will of the gods around the seasons. In order to organize the people around creating sustained civilization, they also developed governments centered around dynastic-ruled kings, crafted laws, and organized militaries to protect the newly built brick city walls from outside invaders. They had specialized workforces that crafted weapons, trade goods, made clothes, and metalworks. But most importantly, they developed a written language that would keep records and explain life to future generations. Around 3300 BCE, Sumer was ready to lead the world into civilization. By 3000, a number of city-states had developed within Sumer, like Ur and Uruk. They designed massive cities made of clay bricks with broad, sweeping avenues that led to soaring ziggurat temples where they prayed to their pantheon of gods for good weather. Rulers lived in luxurious palaces, while the commoners lived in tiny brick houses and artisan districts. Goods were sold and traded in bazaars that were formed in these artisan districts. Goods were sold from everywhere as trade routes formed from city-state to city-state. Wealth flowed and polytheistic festivals filled the calendar and the streets. At a point in their history, the wheel was invented in Sumer in order to haul trade goods to the rivers and the seas, where goods were then loaded onto boats to Egypt and the developing Greek civilizations. The Sumerians developed potter's wheels for pottery and looms for cloth. They invented musical instruments to entertain themselves and refined stones into jewelry, and also carved document seals. But one of their biggest contributions was developing wedge-shaped writing called Cuneiform, which was carved shapes into wet clay that represented ideas of math, science, laws, and mythology.